One thing Kentucky clerk Kim Davis has heard over and over during her refusal to issue gay marriage licenses is just do your job. Religious liberties lawyer Matt Bowman says that's part of a strategy by progressives to redefine jobs in order to support their agenda.
The left is not content that abortion or same-sex weddings or assisted suicide even be legal. They want to force you to help. And if you won't help, you won't be able to earn a living for your family because your job has now been redefined to include these things.
In this Federalist article, Bowman points out how the government forces many employers to cover costs for abortion-causing contraceptives. Vermont requires doctors to tell some patients they can assist them in committing suicide.
This is a serious problem because a lot of patients don't want to go to a doctor who considers it a legitimate option to kill them.
Christian clerks, bakers, and florists have paid the legal price for not doing their jobs as the politically correct deemed necessary.
These are all situations where the government has become weaponized on the movement of abortion and assisted suicide and gay marriage to force people, to coerce them, to punish them, to take away their licenses, to tell them they can't be in business, to tell them maybe even to send them to jail.
You know, there's a lot at stake here.
Davis went to jail rather than issue same-sex marriage licenses in her name because she sees it as a spiritual struggle for the soul of the nation.
This is not a war with flesh and blood. It's a war of principalities. It's a spiritual warfare.
They never were really interested in the licenses in the first place. They're interested in Kim Davis's scalp on a wall.
Davis's attorney Matt Staver points out these legal crackdowns are really about forcing submission.
Even though there's other alternatives out there, there's other bakers, there's other florists, they want the person who has the deeply held religious conviction to participate in a ceremony that celebrates something that is contrary to God's word.
Family law professor Robin Fretwell Wilson thinks religious believers who refuse to compromise will continue to lose in the courts. Meeting CBN News at the National Constitution Center, she used Davis as an example.
No person can be the choke point on the path to marriage and deny other people their rights.
What Fretwell Wilson argues is that if people of faith want their religious rights respected, those on the other side are going to have to feel their rights are respected too.
She praises a compromise in Utah where Mormons and LGBT groups sat down together to advance all their rights.
That project of advancing their rights gives us an opportunity to sit down as a community and say, how can we live together in peace? How can we have more elbow room in a state that feels like it's crushing in on us?
And crushing is exactly what's happening to Washington florist Baronelle Stutzman, who said no to furnishing the flowers for a gay wedding. A legal defeat will cost her everything.
Our retirement, our home, and our business, because they're also suing us personally and corporately. So we'll possibly lose everything we own.
This is the government basically trying to bully Baronelle to set an example, to say if you don't toe this ideological line, you and your family will be coerced, you'll be punished, you'll be put out of business.
Stutzman wishes her opponents could see her stand isn't personal.
Christ said it, I didn't. So, you know, you're fighting the wrong person here.
Another reason why Staver doesn't want government to force Kim Davis out.
But it sets a precedent. If you're a Christian and you believe in marriage that people have believed in through millennia of human history that Jesus himself spoke about, then you ought to not run for office. If you're in office, you ought to resign.
And the bullying won't stop there.
We already saw what happened with the baker and the florist and the wedding photographer, and it's going to happen to churches and to Christian colleges.
Navy Chaplain Wes Motter faced a forced discharge for counseling military members about the Bible's stance on homosexuality and premarital sex.
I think comfortable Christianity is over. I think that we need to come to a point, not looking to fight, but there's going to come a moment where every believer who is a follower of Jesus Christ has to make a decision. Will you choose me or will you choose the world?
Motter's attorney calls these dangerous times for believers.
People in this country who are really paying attention and seeing that are going to be outraged and shocked when they learn that this is coming to their door too. It's not just in the big cities or in the on the East Coast or the West Coast.
Fretwell Wilson has a warning.
Religious people and religious groups have to be observant right now. They have to be cognizant of the things that are changing in our lives.
What we're seeing happen to Baronelle could happen to a lot of other people if we continue to allow this trajectory to continue.
What many people of faith are realizing is this is a whole new era, uncharted territory, and many things that they took for granted and rights that they felt were guaranteed are way up in the air. Paul Strand, CBN News, reporting from the National Constitution Center, Philadelphia.